Graham Stephan has exploded onto the YouTube scene over the last 5 years, going from a real estate agent to the most subscribed finance channel on YouTube. Graham is the GOAT finance YouTuber. So in this video, I want to look at how he got started on YouTube, what he's done to grow such a large following on YouTube, and if his advice is actually worth listening to. Graham started his channel all the way back in 2017. He started off with some how-to videos about how to be a better real estate agent and how to get over your fears. But his entrepreneurial journey starts long before this, when he got his first job at 13 years old at a local aquarium. His job was to take pictures of the fish and Photoshop these photos and then post them on the aquarium's website. He was paid $1 per photo, which made him realize that the more hours he worked, the more money he could make. He was making between $25 and $30 an hour at this job, at the age of 13. At this point he thought he should just quit school, as he hated it, and for every hour he was at school, in this dumb class, he could be making $30. But unfortunately for Graham, the aquarium closed down. And now he was back to where he first started, going to school knowing that he hated it, but not knowing what he wanted to do with the rest of his life. Thankfully this didn't last too long, and Graham joined a band, and his new plan was to become a famous drummer. He continued with the band all the way through high school. The band got plenty of gigs, and things were going really well for the band. They played some gigs along the Sunset Strip in California, but then near the end of his senior year, Graham had this realization that there's tons of really famous musicians who can't make enough money to provide for their families. And Graham got worried and decided to quit the band and give up on the dream of becoming a famous drummer. So once again, Graham found himself stuck in life, not knowing what he wanted to do, but he knew he loved investing and making money. So he looked for something that aligned with this. He applied to study investment banking in Pepperdine, but they turned him down. And so once again, Graham is left wondering, what should I do? Instead of just sitting at home feeling sorry for himself, he went out and got an office job, but he hated this job. Graham said this was one of the worst times in his life. He had hit rock bottom. He hated this job and he realized he had given up the band, which he had loved so much, just because he feared he wouldn't be able to make it in music. It also didn't help that he still had no plans for the future, because he wasn't sure if he reapplied to college if he would get in or not. And he knew that he just couldn't stay in this office job anymore. He hated it so much. He decided he couldn't just hope that he was going to like college. So he took it into his own hands and applied for his real estate agent license. His idea was that he would do this for a year and then reapply to colleges next year, and hopefully by then have a better idea of what he wanted to do. However, Graham isn't one to just abandon ship without a plan. So before he quit this job, he went to a load of open houses, just so he could talk to other estate agents and ask them for advice on becoming an agent himself. This plan began to backfire when everyone he talked to was telling him that this was a terrible idea. It was career suicide. He should just go to college, get a degree, and come back in 4 years' time when he has some life experience. This is until he met this one agent who told him that this was the best time to become an agent, when everyone else is leaving and quitting because it's so hard and they're just not making the same money they were last year. It was going to be less competitive. And in 4 years' time, when everyone else he went to school with was graduating, he would already have 4 years of experience under his belt. So Graham began to work for this real estate agent, got his license, and started work. His first big break came when he realized that everyone he was working with was taking poor quality photos of the houses. Since Graham had so much experience with Photoshop from his job in the aquarium, he would go up to other agents and tell them he would take professional photos and edit them in Photoshop, and they would just look really good. And the agent could have these photos for free, as long as he could post the same ad on Craigslist with his phone number instead of the agent's phone number. And if they got the client themselves, they could have the photos for free. If not, Graham would get to keep the client. From this, he managed to get a couple of clients, and things were going really well, and he had made $35,000 in the first 9 months from these leasings. But he still never sold a house. He was just leasing out warehouses. And this was a big thing for Graham. He really wanted to sell a house, and everyone around him was telling him, "You'll never sell a house, you're only 18 years old. Why would anyone trust you to sell a house?" Until a couple of months later. He was doing an open house when a couple walked in, and they hit it off immediately. A month later, he organized a house for this couple. He ended up selling it for $3.5 million. This was it. He knew he could achieve anything now. He had just proven everyone else wrong. 2 months later, he sold another house for $1.2 million. And by this third year working as a real estate agent, he was making over $100,000 a year, and he was saving all of it. He said he lived off about $5 a day. He realized at this point he was just hoarding so much money.
Stop hoarding. I can't be more blunt about it. Stop it. It's not sensible. It's not helpful.
So he decided it was time he bought some rental properties for himself. Now he could finally relax a little bit. Rental income is a lot more fixed. You know when it's coming in and how much is coming in, so you can budget and plan around this. Whereas as an agent, you only get money once you close a sale. So there's no way to make plans for when you will have money. Which brings us up to 2015, and Graham started to feel like he had plateaued, which ultimately left him feeling unfulfilled. At the same time, he met Jason Oppenheim, and he made an offer to Graham to come work with him. which Graham accepted and got him excited about work again. His income skyrocketed over the next year, and he went from making $100,000 per year to $200,000. In December 2016, he started his YouTube channel. By 2019, he was making over $1 million just from YouTube AdSense alone, just 3 years after he started his channel. He started his YouTube channel with how-to videos, where he would share his knowledge of how to be a really good real estate agent. His strategy was to target keywords that he had a lot of knowledge about and that people search for, and try to rank the highest for that search term, which clearly worked for him when he made $1 million from AdSense after only 3 years of posting videos on YouTube. That's not even considering how much he was making from his job as a real estate agent, brand deals, online course on how to grow a YouTube channel, Amazon affiliate links, and so on. There's a reason he's ahead of the rest in the finance space. He saw that other finance YouTubers at the time were not trying to provide information for free. They were trying their best to sell some online course. Not many people in this space just wanted to educate their viewers about how to make better financial decisions. They just wanted to get those really high CPMs for talking about finance related topics. Instead, Graham wanted to provide some actual value in his niche. Now things are a lot different in the finance niche. But back when Graham was starting out, it was only Grant Cardone and Ty Lopez making videos in the finance space. And both these guys have more CoffeeZilla videos about them than SBF. So there really wasn't anyone genuine when Graham started on YouTube. So he worked on creating informative content around things he actually had real life experience with, like real estate, investing in the stock market, and getting over your fears. We know Graham had actual real life experience with these things from learning his life story. However, like everyone who has ever lived, Graham isn't perfect. Sometimes he's made mistakes and given bad advice. With the fall of FTX, Graham had to release an apology video to separate himself from that mess, and after being a partner with FTX for over a year. He also got caught out when Scott Schaefer brought down Established Titles, after they had been essentially scamming people the whole time. So with 2 big scares on his reputation, should we consider Graham another fake guru? Well, Graham's advice often checks out, where he constantly preaches, to the point of boredom, to dollar cost average into the market and hold for the long term. Graham also preaches there's no way to get rich quickly. This is the type of advice that is hard to argue with. So there really is no evidence of him acting in bad faith, other than an argument to be made that he should vet who he advertises for a little bit better. Everyone was duped by SBF and FTX, so it's easy to forgive him for that. But for Established Titles, it's not as easy. But Graham has never tried to sell his viewers an NFT or fake guru seminar. A YouTuber as big as Graham certainly gets enough offers that are large enough for anyone to forget about their morals. It's quite refreshing to see Graham hasn't succumbed to this temptation, and I don't believe we'll see Graham getting his own CoffeeZilla video anytime soon. I think it's fair to say overall that Graham is a trustworthy YouTuber. Just don't pay attention to any of his sponsors and you should be fine. Let me know your thoughts on Graham down in the comments below, and if you're new to this channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button.